that sounds like a possessive novelist at her worst, but it's more that I had a spontaneous enthusiasm for the process of it, because I thought I was very pleased with how the book had worked. The book is first person, single point of view. You're entirely in this child's head. And I thought actually cinema could allow us to see this child and to see what he sees at the same time. And also that a film could allow us to see Ma, the young mother in the book, as her own character who the viewer is directly touched by, whereas in the book you only glimpse her sort of through Jack. So I thought actually we could have much more of a two-hander here, where we get to see, you know, the way Jack sees their strange little shed as this little magic world, but then the next moment we're going to see it as she sees it as this, you know, ugly, grim shed where she's been locked up for 7 years. So I thought in some ways the film could do this better. It's funny, I had a lot of little overtures or, you know, approaches, but very few filmmakers will really put it on the line. Lenny wrote me this 10-page letter, and it quoted Plato. It showed that he completely understood what I was up to in the book, and in particular, he cut right through the crime trappings. He saw that this was a love story and that this was a really universal story about every child growing up from a small world into a bigger world. And so he got it. He's just so bright. But also he spelled out how he would film certain sequences. He didn't talk about casting, none of those externals. He talked about how he would translate the magic of the book into cinema. It was all about cameras and rhythms, and I just knew that he would make a beautiful film room. And, you know, I looked at that letter again, and it's more or less the way he made it, too. He had an enormous sense of conviction. And luckily, you know, the way the film was financed, there was no big studio butting in and telling him what to do. His creativity was really protected. So I just couldn't be happier with the result. It was, and we couldn't do it until really just before production, because obviously if we cast a child early, he could then start getting big teeth. For instance, they get their new teeth at that age. So we just had to wait, and I was so nervous. But the filmmakers kept saying to me, don't worry, there are lots of children out there whose parents will, you know, send in video links, so we can very quickly look at hundreds and hundreds of children. And Lenny flew around America and Canada, and he found this perfect child who happened to be Canadian and who happened to have some film experience. And that's really helpful because, you know, the role is arduous. Jake had to spend entire days in a wardrobe or, you know, under a bed or rolled up in a rug. And he never lost his kind of, you know, cheerful, playful spirit. He actually likes the business of film. He considers it fun. It's crucial. Yeah, BRIE just set out to befriend him from the first day. She always saw them as equals, but of course she was kind of motherly to him too. And, you know, the director has to tell the child what to do a lot, but equally BRIE would do an awful lot of, oh, put your foot there, oh, don't forget your hand was there. So lots of little reminders. So she was always sort of gently coaching him in a playful and friendly way. And she really sort of looked out for him and made sure, even doing the publicity, you know, she tells him what things mean. She advises him on how not to be freaked out by the lights in his eyes, you know. She's still looking after him. And I think, you know, just like between Ma and Jack in the story, there's that combination of the motherly and the playful peer, which makes it a really unique relationship. Yes, I did at least once a week. Yeah, I'd go up and it was such a thrill. You know, it's all new to me. I was terrified I'd, you know, knock something over or say something wrong, you know. It's an utterly new world to me. And I found it fascinating to go around and interview everybody, like to find out what a grip does, you know, what the lighting people do, the costume designers, what's going through their heads, you know, the production designer, he was making entire books that Jack was reading, for instance. And everyone was so zealous in their specialist skills, and everyone had absorbed the book so completely and were concentrating on trying to find a cinematic equivalent for it. So I found it wonderful to be part of this huge team, and I didn't feel I owned it anymore. I felt sort of, look what we have all made. And it made me feel more relaxed about the business of exactly what words are spoken, because it's not just that, you know. When you're writing a screenplay, you're describing things like what the camera sees and what actions take place. So it's not just which words are spoken. So I now feel a bit more relaxed about the whole business of screenplay writing, because I realize it's not always about the dialogue. It's about whether you've captured the moment.